I'm Nick Westergaard, and this is On Brand, helping you tell your story. My guest this week is Derek K. Hubbard.
It's one of the coolest things, no matter where I travel, whether it's domestically or internationally, if people catch wind of my affiliation with Southwest, they always have a really cool personal Southwest story. 2 weeks ago, a woman came up to me after a panel I was speaking on and shared with me this incredible Southwest story. She was from Hawaii and just talked about how we were helpful to her and the community just after the devastating fires they encountered. And she was just so moved to tears, and we hugged, we cried, and just shared this really cool moment.
Derek K. Hubbard is Manager of Public Relations for Southwest Airlines. In his role, Derek shares the story of Southwest with audiences across a variety of channels. For more than 10 years, Derek has been a sought-after expert on how to craft compelling stories and influence audiences. He believes stories can change the world, and everyone has one waiting to be told. My interview with Derek K. Hubbard is coming right up. But first...
My dad works in B2B marketing, but I never really knew what that meant. Then one day my dad came by my school for career day and told everyone in my class he was a big ROAS man. Then he just kept saying things like, the bigger the ROAS, the better, over and over. My friends still laugh at me to this day. I think it means calculating a return on ad spend. One thing's for sure, I'll be known as the ROAS man's kid for the rest of my days. Why couldn't you just be a fireman or a lawyer? Why? You ruined my life, Dad.
Not everyone gets B2B, but LinkedIn has the people who do. And with ads on LinkedIn, you'll be able to reach people based on job title, industry, likelihood to buy, and more. Start converting your B2B audience into high-quality leads today. We'll even give you a $100 credit on your next ad campaign. Go to linkedin.com/MPN to claim your credit. That's linkedin.com/MPN. Terms and conditions apply. LinkedIn, the place to be, to be.
Would you wear the same shoes for every occasion? Or rock the same outfit 7 days a week? Of course not. Your style is better with options. Your investments could be too. SIBO Index options give you access to various contract sizes, global trading hours, and potential tax advantages. That's a good look for any portfolio. If you're ready to invest in style, head to betterwithoptions.com. There are risks associated with SIBO company products. Review the disclosures and disclaimers at sibo.com/US_disclaimers.
Derek K. Hubbard, welcome to On Brand.
Hey, Nick, thanks so much for having me.
I am excited to chat. We met a couple months back at a digital summit in your home base of Dallas, and I'm one of those marketers that I'm sure you encounter working for Southwest that says, "Oh, I talk about your brand all the time," as just one of those that as we talk about, and as I spoil the final question of a brand that's made you smile, for many historically that's been Southwest. So what is your go-to response when whether it's marketers or friends, family, for working for a brand that has that kind of emotional impact for people?
Well, first, it's a big smile, which I'm sure you saw just now as you were sharing that story. I do believe, Nick, when we met, that really was the first thing that you shared with me whenever I told you that I worked for Southwest. But to be honest, it's such a blessing to work for a company like Southwest where those stories are not uncommon. It's one of the coolest things, no matter where I travel, whether it's domestically or internationally, if people catch wind of my affiliation with Southwest, they always have a really cool personal Southwest story. And it's funny, maybe 2 weeks ago, I was in Park City at the Sundance Film Festival, and a woman came up to me after a panel I was speaking on and shared with me this incredible Southwest story. She was from Hawaii and just talked about how we were helpful to her and the community just after the devastating fires they encountered. And she was just so moved to tears, and we hugged, we cried, and just shared this really cool moment. So most of the time, it's a smile, a thank you, but ever so often, tears are involved, definitely happy tears. But we get to have a lot of fun and do some really cool, impactful things within the communities we serve.
Well, I think I mentioned that I love our small regional airport, but if I have one complaint, it's that I can't fly Southwest as much as I would like to. So one of the stories, I think you talk a lot about stories, and I want to come back to Park City as well. But I also think about some of those stories because it seems like Southwest historically is a great brand that is built on different layers of story and levels of story too, both kind of the founding and also, I point to one of the best examples of visual storytelling in business is that back of the napkin drawing.
Sure.
So, when you're an organization that is founded in so many unique and compelling stories, how do those stories, as the business has grown, how have they become? I don't know if canonized is the right word, but that's the one that popped in my head. But how do they become a living, breathing, continuing part of the Southwest brand's culture?
So I think those stories really are canon, specifically around Southwest Airlines, right? Specifically within the walls of our business. And I haven't been at the company since 1971 when we were founded. But from day one, stepping foot into our headquarters building rather, in Dallas, Texas, you hear the stories from day one. And they're told to you over and over again, not in a way that feels like you have to memorize them or that it's scripted or anything like that, but it truly is who we are, what we believe, and ultimately how we move forward. And for those folks who maybe are unaware of the Southwest story, we began operating in 1971, serving three cities in Texas, and we called it the Texas Triangle. The dots on the map were drawn into a triangle of the three cities that we served at that time. And as you mentioned, Nick, it has become canon. It's become this legend of Southwest Airlines. And for 50 plus years, we have been an airline that was for the people, rooted in hospitality and exceptional customer service. And that's who we'll be continuing going forward, because that's ultimately who we are at our core. And I believe what's really unique about Southwest and about our brand is that we believe it. And we have people here who truly care about one another and who care about our customers. And we do everything that we can to ensure that people feel the love. No pun intended, of course. We all know LUVLOVE is very important to Southwest too. But we really do want people to be a part of this journey with us and be a part of this story with us. And we know we couldn't do it without the incredible people who are working day in and day out to ensure that our customers are getting to where they need to go and connecting them with what's important in their lives.
I love too the framing of. I mean, I am sure there are, as we think about industries, I think the framing in hospitality is so key, especially with what you're talking about, because travel for many can be a challenge, and really thinking about that customer experience. I think that was the panel that you were a part of at Digital Summit, talking about customer experience at kind of it's a challenging time out there to really kind of wow people. So what in looking ahead in a new year, as we continue to kind of try to work to level up what we're doing for customers and where and how we're meeting them, what are you looking to that might be the what's next on the hospitality front?
Interesting about hospitality, no matter what industry you're in, whether it's travel, aviation, hotel, retail, I feel that at its core, hospitality really is the same. And I'm going to borrow something from a book that I read last year called Unreasonable Hospitality. If you haven't read it, and if your listeners haven't read it, I highly, highly recommend it. But one of the things that the author says in that book is that customer service is black and white and hospitality is color. And what's really interesting about that to me is that when we think about customer service, it's the basic things, right? It's ensuring that you get a receipt after you make a purchase. It's hello, did you find everything that you were looking for in the store today? All of those things really should be happening, but hospitality is going above and beyond. So like when you walk in the store and you're looking around a bit confused and you ask someone, "Hey, I'm looking for insert product here." And instead of them just saying, "Oh, it's on aisle 5," they actually walk you to the aisle and they show you the product you were looking for, and quite possibly could tell you about some of the other products that are similar, and give you, maybe some counter arguments in case you were on the fence about that. And so when I think about what hospitality really is and should be in 2025 and beyond, it really should be about taking care of the customer. Of course, we understand in a busy world, sometimes you might not have time to go that extra mile, but the impact that I think we're able to see whenever we are able to go the extra mile and are able to give people something that's a little bit more than maybe what they were expecting, we see that return in dividends. And when I say we, I mean society and people in general, because I can tell you there are places that I go where the customer service is excellent and I keep going back. But I will tell you the places where the customer service and the hospitality are at an all time high, those are the places that I drive out of my way to go to because of how I'm treated. Those are the places that I spend more money at because of the way I'm treated, because they make it seem as if they truly care about me and care about the fact that I've either come in their store or purchased from their website or traveled with them. And so with Southwest, we truly have always believed in that hospitality mindset. So even all of us as employees, we are empowered to always be hospitable and always think of ways that we can go the extra mile, not only for each other, but also for the customer.
Well, and I think that's such a good reminder because I think one challenge from a distance, from the outside of again marketers who've long thought Southwest is the go-to example of this. And one challenge is it can kind of seem like I can't even imagine how you'd go about doing that. And I think the framing that you talked about is so key. It's a reminder of that question of what business are you really in? Because I think it's easy to say with something, oh, we're an airline, but
Absolutely.
really what we're doing is what you're talking about, and that really fits that definition of hospitality even more.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I mean, and truly, we are in the business of people. Of course, we do have a business to run where we're getting people from point A to point B. But at the end of the day, we're all about the people. We're all about ensuring that we can connect with them and offer them something that is special and unique and different. And again, I can't speak highly enough of the foundation that was laid for our brand beginning in 1971 of being an airline that really does focus on taking care of its people. And I mean, there are so many famous quotes from Herb Kelleher, who I know many people know, or even Colleen Barrett, that really talk about our focus on people. And that's something that I can't imagine that ever changing for Southwest, because it is integral to who we are and what we believe at our core.
Yeah, that's so much. I'm smiling myself listening to that, just thinking of the different stories, and I feel like wasn't there a dispute settled with a boxing match with Herb?
Well, not quite a boxing match. I think I know what you're talking
Okay.
about, Nick. Yes, there was in our history, and I wasn't around for this, so this is not firsthand knowledge. But yes, what you're referring to is Malice in Dallas, and not boxing, but an arm wrestling match. So yeah, I mean, we've always had a lot of fun at Southwest. We don't do things like everyone else, which makes us very cool and unique. But yeah, Herb Kelleher, fantastic person, great business leader, great person just in general. And yeah, there's a video out there somewhere, possibly on YouTube. But a few years ago, we actually did a podcast called "Is This Seat Open?" And my team had the pleasure of working with some really incredible folks at New York Times Studios. And one of the episodes of the podcast actually talks about Malice in Dallas. And I learned so much just listening at some of the folks who were there and what that experience was like. And I hear it was just a riot all the way around, and people really got into it and had a lot of fun.
On Brand, we'll be right back after this.
My dad works in B2B marketing, but I never really knew what that meant. Then one day my dad came by my school for career day and told everyone in my class he was a big ROAS man. Then he just kept saying things like, the bigger the ROAS, the better, over and over. My friends still laugh at me to this day. I think it means calculating a return on ad spend. One thing's for sure, I'll be known as the ROAS man's kid for the rest of my days. Why couldn't you just be a fireman or a lawyer? Why? You ruined my life, Dad.
Not everyone gets B2B, but LinkedIn has the people who do. And with ads on LinkedIn, you'll be able to reach people based on job title, industry, likelihood to buy, and more. Start converting your B2B audience into high-quality leads today. We'll even give you a $100 credit on your next ad campaign. Go to linkedin.com/MPN to claim your credit. That's linkedin.com/MPN. Terms and conditions apply. LinkedIn, the place to be, to be.
Which Manning brother will win the FanDuel Kick of Destiny 3 on Super Bowl Sunday? Peyton or Eli? Watch the showdown live on Super Bowl Sunday. Plus, new customers bet $5 and get $200 if your bet wins. Only on FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook.
21 plus and present in Virginia. Must be first online real money wager. $5 deposit required. Bonus issued is non-withdrawable bonus vest that expires 7 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See full terms at FanDuel.com/sportsbook. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Now, back to the show. So you talked earlier about being back from Park City, and I want you to share a bit about what you were there for, because we've mentioned story already several times. It's in your bio, it's in my podcast introduction, but you were there for an event focused on brand storytelling. I wonder if you'd share some more about that.
Well, I will tell you, I am still thawing out from my time in Park City. It was very, very cold, and I'm a Texan through and through. So yeah, we're never prepared for snow, ice, all those things. So Park City was a bit of a journey for me, but I had a great time. But I'm a part of an organization called Brandstorytelling, and this was their 10th anniversary in Park City. It is a sanctioned event of the Sundance Film Festival, and this organization brings together incredible marketers and storytellers, filmmakers, producers, writers, the whole gambit within the industry to discuss how do we move stories forward with brands and do it in a way that's not necessarily disruptive or traditional advertising. And what's really cool about being a part of this group is that, sure, there may be people there who are creating commercials that are more traditional and advertorial in nature, but everyone's really thinking about how do we tell the story of a brand, whether it's B2B, B2C, in a way that is compelling and that makes people think, perk up, and go, oh, I didn't know that this brand was a part of this, or this was important to this brand. And that's what's really, really cool. So at Southwest, we've been a part of the organization for several years. And this year, I had the pleasure of serving on the selection committee for the films and podcasts, as well as some of the episodics that would be screened at the event and that would receive top honors. So it's an esteemed group of people to be a part of. And I'm still pinching myself, figuring out how they let me in, but I'm thankful that they did. And I always leave excited, inspired, with a roster of connections of folks that I can lean on and ask questions to and really collaborate with. There have been so many partnerships that have come out of this organization for other brands. We've had some at Southwest as well, including the podcast that I just mentioned. But all in all, it's just a really great group of people to be together, to learn, collaborate, and really highlight how much of an impact stories can have, not only for a brand, but for the people who see them.
Well, so Sundance is another great example of a brand that's been around for a long time, making people smile, and I think people know what that is. I wonder if you
Sure.
could share a couple of examples of like the types of things that you saw from brands, media formats, just to get us a better understanding of what that is.
Absolutely. So with brand storytelling, I mean, off the top of my head, I'm thinking of folks like Procter and Gamble, Amazon. You're seeing large Hollywood studios out of LA who are coming in. In recent years, I remember maybe 2 years ago, Hello Sunshine, which is a company backed by Reese Witherspoon production company. They premiered a film there as well. So these are really top notch people who are at the highest level of their respective fields who are telling these incredible stories. And so in any given moment at the event, you might be tuning into a panel where there is someone maybe from an LA or New York studio who's coming in and saying, hey, we partnered with X brand. It could be Nike, it could be Amazon, it really could be the North Face or anyone. And they said, hey, we did this film and it's now available on insert streaming platform here. Or we released this internally and now we're able to see it pop up in this platform, which is really, really cool. In addition to like films and TV shows, they also feature podcasts, which I think is really cool. You, Nick, I'm sure know better than anyone as a podcast host that streaming audio is such a huge opportunity for brands. There are so many excellent examples of brand funded podcasts, of podcasts that we know have now turned into TV series or movies. It's a booming industry. And so being able to be a part of the organization and see how different brands are telling their story in impactful ways has been really inspiring. But if I may, I'll share one example from this previous event, this year's event rather. So the North Face, they have long been one of those brands who truly is getting out there, telling their brand story in more unconventional ways, I would say. So even this year, they premiered a film called Trango, which is absolutely incredible. I would encourage everyone to go check it out. But what's really cool about this film is that sure, we all know the North Face as the brand who sells apparel, jackets, and different things. But they really go deeper into the human spirit, the human connection, perseverance, overcoming obstacles, challenges, all sorts of things as they're featuring their various athletes and folks who are actually wearing the gear and wearing the product. So if you think about traditional advertising would say, hey, here are a pair of boots. And we're going to tell you about these boots in 30 seconds. There may be a fun creative, maybe a comical creative, depending on what the tone of the spot is. And they would put it out there, maybe on linear TV, and people would either watch it, skip it. They might go to the bathroom while the commercials are on. Who knows, right? All of our behaviors are very different. But what branded storytelling tells us is that, hey, what if we just show the athletes, everyday people who are living their lives, but also enjoying the products at the same time? What if we tell their story and show the products in a functional way, and we leave people with something that's important to us as a brand while also showing them the versatility of the product? So that's more what brand storytelling really is all about. And being able to connect the dots for the consumer in a way that's impactful, I truly believe is the next wave that we're seeing in terms of what modern advertising really looks like now. And is it tough? Of course, it's very hard. We know that it's expensive to tell longer form stories. We know that it takes more time. We understand that budgets are tighter across the board, across industries. It's just a really difficult time for all of us coming out of the pandemic now. So we really all are having to be smarter and leaner and think about how can we connect with people in a way that is still meaningful, but also a way that is smart and fiscally responsible.
I love that, especially in looking ahead at where things are going and the role that brand storytelling can play. I mentioned it being in your bio, my bio. Yours closes with a line that I love. It says that you believe stories can change the world, and everyone has one waiting to be told.
I
So
do.
as we listen to examples like that, and if there's a brand builder out there sitting and listening and thinking, I got to figure out how to unlock our story. What life preserver would you toss them to help make that work a little bit easier?
Well, the first thing I would say is don't give up. I certainly understand that it's very difficult, right? Anytime that you are trying to do something that is new or novel, it is tough. And if you are a brand who maybe has never waded into this water before, or if you have and maybe you didn't get the results that you wanted the first time, I would just say do not give up, because there really is water that can be mined in these incredible stories. And I even just think about my career, where my career started, and I've been telling stories my entire career, even before I knew what brand storytelling was or what it meant to truly tell an impactful story. I was a storyteller, and that's really been my bread and butter as far back as I can remember. But what I try to tell people all the time, even when I'm speaking on panels or presenting, or even internally, just letting people know that it's important if you can be a brand journalist and think like a journalist. And on the surface, you might hear a story and go, "Oh, that's interesting. Maybe there's something there." But what this work allows you to do is to actually go deeper and start asking those probing questions. Of course, through strategy work and kind of some business school principles, and I can't remember the exact name of it, but there's a process where you start asking questions to try to get to the root of an issue, right? And there are a certain number of questions that you should ask that hopefully will get you to the root cause of whatever it is that you're trying to solve. And I would argue that the same can be true when you're trying to tell a brand story. Ask those different questions. Okay, so why is it important that we talk about these shoes? Why is it important that you wore these shoes whenever you did XYZ? How did you feel when this happened? Had this not happened, what would you have done next? So, really, just kind of thinking about all of these different questions. And what I've learned, once I've asked a myriad of questions, I'm now able to see the full picture. And there have been so many times where my team has come to me with an incredible story from an employee or a customer related to Southwest. And I'm asking them these questions. Okay, well, tell me more. Why did the customer cry during this interaction? Why was this so moving to them? Or why did the customer think that this was funny? Why, and again, I'm not including my biases in these questions. So there's no right or wrong answer. I'm truly probing to figure out what is going to be the most impactful way that we can tell this story. And so often, what I have learned is that the story that we're first told is not necessarily the story that is the most impactful or even the most important. Because once we dig, we start to realize, like, oh, wait, actually, this moment was very important because this was the last time that this person was able to spend with a loved one. Or this moment was impactful because they finally achieved a goal that they had set out to achieve 30 years prior. So once we are able to dig and really find those gems, then we can truly tell the story, because that's the part that audiences will connect with. They're not necessarily going to connect with just the surface level. Hey, this person took a flight. They had a really fun time. This flight attendant did something really cool for them. I mean, it's surface, and we're happy that those things happen, right? But if we can dig a little deeper and find out, okay, what's the heart of the matter, then we can tell that story. And then we're able to see the comments that people send us or the things that they say. They go, oh my gosh, I felt just like that when I achieved this goal. Or I know exactly how this family feels because we went through something similar, or whatever it may be. And that ultimately is what we're trying to get to. And when I say that everyone has a story that needs to be told or that can be told, that's truly what I'm talking about. We all have life experiences. We all go through ups and downs. But what's really cool about doing this work is that we get to showcase the humanity of each and every one of us, something that I believe the world needs more of each and every day.
Well, I love that. And, I've been smiling so much during this conversation. It is now my pleasure, Derek, to get to ask you for a brand that has made you smile recently.
Okay, so I have smiled a lot, and I'll tell you, Nick, I am a smiley person just in general. I tend to smile a lot, but I'm gonna take it back to Park City, get a little cold for another moment here, and during my time at Brand Storytelling, I had the pleasure of watching an episode of a series called Substitute Teacher, which I believe is streaming on YouTube. And this is a series that was funded by Amazon of all brands. Everybody knows Amazon, right? We all probably have a package arriving today at our home from them. But what was really cool about this series, Celebrity Substitute, is that they went into classrooms and highlighted education, highlighted teachers, and the incredible work that they are doing within our classrooms. And they paired them with celebrities. So think people like Billie Eilish or Cynthia Erivo, among others, right? Those are just the two that popped into my mind right now. And what they're able to do is actually see what the teachers are doing, interact with the students, teach the students something so they get to kind of be a substitute for the day, and so are able to teach the students and really grow with them and highlight the nature of education. And what I think is so unique about this series is that it was fun, right? I think so often, we forget that learning is fun and we forget that education is fun. I
Yeah.
certainly was that nerdy kid who loved learning. I still love learning as much as I can. And so to watch this and to see the joy on the students' faces and the wonder and the excitement, I mean, you truly can't beat it. And if I'm not mistaken, this series first started out on social media. Amazon saw it, saw an opportunity, and reached out to the creator and created this whole series that is now something that is so incredible. And I think they're still in production for more episodes. So if you haven't seen it, go check it out. It is guaranteed to make you smile. It is a day brightener. And it just made me excited for the future of our world, because I'm like, hey, if these kids who are doing this incredible stuff, they're writing songs and inspired, talking about STEM and everything in between, like the world is in good hands knowing that these kids are learning and will be coming up very, very soon.
You mentioned that, and you said Cynthia Erivo, and that's the one that I saw, and
Oh, you
I was
did?
I did, and I was smiling thinking about it because you see her reaction to the kids, and
Yes,
that's the best part. And here's someone that's tremendously talented, and watching a little kid, like you said, the future, having that kind of impact on someone of her stature is
absolutely.
just amazing.
Absolutely. Well, and Nick, speaking of Cynthia, I have to tell you, I did go see Wicked twice. Fantastic. She's just incredible. The whole Wicked team, John M. Chu, Ariana, all of them. It was just fantastic. So yeah, so I think even just one last plug for that series, when you're able to bring in talent like a Cynthia Revo, and of course, not everyone's able to bring in, uh, you know, someone of her talent and magnitude, but when you are able to, you're able to really make an impact and show the world that, like, hey, here is something, this is really big for us, and we believe that people need to see it and should enjoy it.
She had a killer cover of Fly Me to the Moon on the Grammys last night as part of the Quincy Jones tribute. Cynthia
I
Erivo
saw
did.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah, there literally nothing she can't do.
Nope. Nope. Well, Derek, where can folks go to learn more about who you are and what you do at Southwest?
Yeah, absolutely. So, of course, we'll give a plug for Southwest Airlines. Be sure to follow us across all of our social channels. We're on most of them, not all of them, but most. And then, as far as me, I'm pretty easy to find. I'm at Derek K Hubbard across platforms. Feel free to connect with me on LinkedIn, and I'll see you around the internet somewhere.
Awesome. Well, we will link up to all of that in our show notes, which folks can find at onbrandpodcast.com. Derek Hubbard, thanks for being on brand with us.
Thanks so much, Nick. This was fun.
On Brand is part of the Marketing Podcast Network. If you like what you're hearing, if we've made you smile, you can always listen free on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or whatever your favorite platform may be. And please take a moment and rate and review the podcast to help others find the show. Until next week, I'm Nick Westergaard, and I'll see you on the internet.
You may know you're listening to this show along the Marketing Podcast Network, but did you know there are other great shows on MPN to help your business? Hennika Watkins-Porter hosts The Entrepreneurial You, empowering entrepreneurs with insights on leadership, business, and success. Hennika, tell listeners what to expect from your show.
So we provide innovative business strategies and practical solutions to common entrepreneurial challenges.
And where can people subscribe?
Find us at hennikawatkisporter.com, as well as the Marketing Podcast Network at marketingpodcasts.net, or search for it wherever you get your podcasts.
You heard her. Go subscribe. This podcast is heard along the Marketing Podcast Network. For more great marketing podcasts, visit marketingpodcasts.net.